In Osaka, a 5th century ruler of the Kofun period is buried beneath a colossal keyhole-shaped mound. It's called the Daisen Kofun, and because it is treated as a sacred imperial mausoleum, the chamber inside has never been excavated. But a recently resurfaced ceremonial knife and armor fragments shed light on what may lie within the tomb of Emperor Nintoku. Emperor Nintoku's name resonates through Japanese legend as an expansionist warrior king, credited with campaigns against the Korean kingdom of Shilla and the conquest of the central and western regions of Japan. He is also credited with having fathered Emperor Richu. However, those stories come from the 7th century Nihon Shoki, aka the Chronicles of Japan, which blend history and mythology. And his reign is placed variously between 313 to 397, 318 to 410, or 330 to 413 CE. But if he ruled in the 4th or 5th century, he would have lived during the Kofun period, so named because that's when large burial mounds called Kofun started appearing across Japan. This one, the Daisen Kofun, is by far the biggest, measuring 466 meters long and 350 meters wide. That's a perimeter of 1,652 meters, making it the largest tomb in Japan. It is also part of the Mozu Furuichi landscape, with 3 other large kofun and multiple smaller ones dotted around. All 5 together demonstrate the scale of earthwork and labor involved in burying elites during the Kofun period. Although no excavation has ever penetrated the central mound, archaeologists think that based on the size, shape, and orientation, it covers a square wooden coffin made of cedar that held the emperor's body. They also believe there may be at least 2 other coffins present. But nobody knows for sure, because the inner chamber has never been opened. So instead, archaeologists work from the outside in, using aerial photography, drone mapping, LIDAR, and ground-penetrating radar where permitted, and careful studies of the moats and haniwa terracottas to model the site without actually digging up the chamber. Recent excavations around the outer edges of the complex have confirmed an early interpretation that the whole thing was surrounded by a protective moat. That much was obvious, but these digs clarified how the moat was constructed. It wasn't a simple water-filled ditch, but a carefully planned series of concentric banks and shallow basins designed to hold water. And the deeper central section was likely dug last, cutting across the earlier landscape. That suggests the Kofun construction was always meant to be island-like, a self-contained world of imperial authority, even in death. But all that recent work is based on what we already knew about this site. What if there's something new to discover? Enter a pair of lucky finds, neither of which was made by digging up the tomb. The first is a newly resurfaced ceremonial knife. It was given the title Todai Jidai Tosho, or Great Tomb Side Knife, and it comes from a private collection linked to a group of 19th century antiquarians centered around a man named Kashiwagi, who led an effort to preserve Japan's heritage during a time of rapid modernization. When a landowner planned to use explosives to blast open the Great Tomb in search of treasure, Kawachi drew up plans for its protection. He argued successfully for making the whole area a national property, the precursor to today's law forbidding excavations. But in 1872, he took advantage of a landslip that partially exposed the mound's front approach. He and a colleague scrambled to record the find, noting and sketching artifacts before they were reburied. That included at least 6 earthenware tripods, each with 3 raised geese heads forming the legs. And after many years, such tripods are known only from Daisen Kofun. There may have been more treasures nearby. Kashiwagi wrote, many other articles were found near this spot, such as swords, spears, and small knives. But he didn't have time to sketch them. The second piece of good fortune came when researchers at the Osaka Museum of History learned that a ceremonial knife and fragments of copper armor had surfaced from that same group of collectors. Not only did the objects match Kashiwagi's descriptions and drawings, but they were still wrapped with papers bearing his handwritten notes and seal. so the pieces were authenticated as originating from the 19th century find. That means we have solid links to the first ever artifacts from within the grave goods assemblage of Daisen Kobo. We also have the clearest profile of that grave goods assemblage. The knife is a tōsu, a small aristocratic side knife with a leaf-shaped blade around 15 centimeters long. This one is crafted from iron and set in a cypress wood sheath, covered with a thin sheet of gold-plated copper fastened by 5 finely worked silver rivets. The craftsmanship is elite with few close parallels known for the 5th century. Nearby, Kashiwagi also sketched a gilded bronze vessel and fragments of iron sword and spear. Unfortunately, those objects are still missing, but we can now match the tachi to the sketches and confirm details like the presence of gold. While the exact meaning of a grave good like a tachi is uncertain, archaeologists point out that the choice of materials speaks to a prestige object fit for burial with a ruler. These were likely not used for actual combat, but displayed as symbols of authority made to last. Indeed, excavations at other sites from the late Kofun period show elite burials with complete sets of armor, weapons, and horse gear, clearly meant to accompany a ruler into the afterlife. Because the mound remains sealed, the big questions cannot be answered. What type of chamber is inside? How many people were buried there? What does the layout reveal about ritual practice? Are there any organic materials like textiles or lacquered wood? But thanks to non-invasive science and the work of past scholars, the evidentiary footing has improved. We have a better map of the exterior thanks to recent surveys and conservation work. And now we have authenticated objects associated with Daisen Kofun, including a ceremonial knife that may have been wielded by an emperor. Together, these speak to a court that flaunted wealth, mastered metals, and staged power even in death, exactly the kind of message you'd expect from the burial of an early Japanese ruler of legendary stature. Enjoyed this evidence first dive? Like the video and subscribe to Unfolding Legacy for more history decoded.